Ladies Car Care Talk Show. I'm so excited because today we have someone that her story inspired me a lot. Her story is so inspirational, so I really want you to hear from her. Her name is Alexa, and I met her through Clubhouse. And she has this amazing community, but I want her to share with you what exactly it's about. And well, tell me, Alexa, tell me a little bit about you, about who you are, and a little bit about your story.
Yeah, well, it's great to connect with you. And my name's Alexa Carlin, and I am the founder and CEO of the Woman in Power X. I've been an entrepreneur since I'm 17 years old, always with the mission to make a difference in at least one person's life every single day. And I started WEX back in 2016 after noticing a big disconnect among women. And I really saw an opportunity for diverse women, all different ages, backgrounds, and industries to come together to connect and collaborate versus compete. And so that is what my core focus is on, to really empower women to take action on their biggest dreams and goals and open up so many doors of opportunities for them.
Awesome. And I know to our listeners, we always talk about cars. We talk about car maintenance, and you're here. Well, Alexa, she's sharing a different story, and I just want to say that. I mean, everything that's about empowering each other and inspire each other. And I really believe that what she's doing it's amazing because it's focusing in women as well. And that's one of our missions is like to help women in different areas and how they can gain confidence. So can you share a little bit on how everything has started for you? I know you were in college and you have that dream inside of you and you discovered this lack. How everything has started?
Yeah. So my first business was when I was 17, and that started because I saw a t-shirt and read the hang tag on this t-shirt design that stood out to me when I was like shopping one day. And it read that they were using fashion to help villages become self-sustainable in Africa, and they were building schools. And I got really inspired by what they were doing. So I reached out to the company. I bought the shirt, and long story short, it took months and so many follow ups for me to ever get a response back. But I ended up becoming the sole licensee to design jewelry for this LA based fashion company that was supported by huge celebrities like Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Zac Efron. And I don't think the founder knew I was 17 at the time. But that is when I fell in love with turning an idea into a reality. And I did not have confidence at all. When I was really young, in elementary school, middle school, even going into high school, I was so shy that I couldn't even raise my hand in class. And now I'm a professional speaker. But what I realized going into college, running this business from my dorm room now, that confidence was the biggest thing that was holding me back. And it is imperative for success in any type of the word, right? Like success in your career and also success in life, success to go to the car dealership, like to negotiate what you want, what you deserve. And I knew that I wasn't the only one that felt that way. So I started a blog in college called Hello Perfect with a mission to redefine perfection. And I started asking all these different people their definition of perfect. I got huge celebrities to join on, like Mark Cuban, Shaquille O'Neal, Steve Madden, Rebecca Minkoff. And I realized, yes, everyone has a different meaning for the word perfect. But what I learned through that process is that confidence is a skill. And just like any skill, it can be learned. And so I started to gain more confidence the more I repeatedly did the act of asking influential people this question of what is your definition of perfect? And that's when I realized, well, repetition breeds confidence. Knowledge of what you're talking about breeds confidence. So I started to really kind of hack the confidence game, pretending like I was confident, but really noticing what were the little parts of like my experiences of my life that instilled that confidence, and how can I replicate that in areas where I'm not that confident. And that started to grow. My confidence started to grow. And then when I was 21 years old, a few months away from graduating from college while growing this blog, I had a crazy near death experience that left me with a 1% chance to live.
Wow. Wow, can you? Well, I mean, due to what you just shared right now was like, whoa, okay, hold on, let's hold.
I know. I try.
Okay,
I could literally could just keep. I mean, I'm a speaker, so I literally could just keep on going. So then I'm like, where should I cut off? So yeah, there's a
yeah,
lot.
no, you know what? I love that you were talking about the confidence is a skill, because that's one of the main things that I always share with my audience, because there is a lot of lack of confidence. So I know you were saying that when you were in elementary school you were so shy, but when you saw that message in that t-shirt and you really wanted to that inspired you, what it actually was in your head when you decide to send that message, because you never knew that they're gonna reply or not, but what was in your heart in that moment that it makes you go for it and not just to have it a thought, but actually do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, no one's ever asked me that question before. Of all the interviews I do, that's a really great question. So I was just elected student body president, and I was the first junior to ever be elected student body president in my high school. And I went to a huge high school. It was like a very big deal. And it was my first dive into like stepping out of my comfort zone and learning about leadership. And I knew that I wanted to make a big impact to show that I deserved to have that position. And so the summer going into that school year, when I saw the t-shirt, I had the idea to bring it to my school campus to help raise funds and create this movement on campus around it. And so I guess what was in my heart was, well, one, I always wanted to work in fashion. I thought that was like my lifelong goal, dream. Like even out of college, moved to New York City, got a dream job working at InStyle magazine. I studied fashion abroad in London. Like, so it was my way that was like, okay, here's how I can incorporate my passion of fashion into what I'm doing as a leader on campus. And so I guess there was the timeline of like, I need to get this started in order to turn it into a reality while I'm still in school. And then the other part was I saw an opportunity where they didn't sell jewelry. They only sold t-shirts and tote bag. And I just took my shot. I mean, I really probably didn't think about what was to come. It was just an email, right? But that's the thing. You don't need to worry about everything. I had no clue how to do any of it. I didn't know how to get a bracelet manufactured. I didn't know how to have a conference call. I'd have a conference call with the founder. Like I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know drop shipping. I didn't know anything. And just to one step at a time, one email, one follow up, and then I just figured it out. And that's the thing. You have to say yes and then just figure it out later. But you can't let that fear of not knowing stop you, because the only way to really know what to do is through action.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, because that's true. A lot of times is the fear that it stop us from actually following our own dreams. Because there's a lot of things that is in our head, in our heart, and in our heads that I wish I could do this. I wish I will send that email. So now that you're saying that, is like, yeah, I mean, you have to stop that fear in order for you to follow those dreams, even though you don't have to have the knowledge of, oh, I have to know all this stuff. So because imagine if you were had that now the mentality is saying, oh no, I'm gonna learn first how to find manufacturers and all of that, you were not being here right now at this
Right.
moment. And I
Exactly.
love that. So share a little bit more. I know all this was successful for you, but then it comes to the moment of your life when you said you encounter a really bad situation, health situation, because sometimes we have different problems that it comes finances, family, but when it comes to health, it's that's something that it can drain you. So can you
Oh,
share a
yeah.
little bit more about that?
Yeah. So I was this healthy, happy go lucky 21-year-old getting ready to graduate from college. And all of a sudden I had flu like symptoms. And what happened was a bacteria got into my bloodstream and started killing all of my organs rapidly. And I was rushed to the emergency room. didn't really know what was going on, like didn't think it was that big of a deal. But my body was going into septic shock, and they had to induce me into a medical coma. Luckily, my mom was visiting that weekend, and so she's the one that took me to the emergency room, because probably I would have just been like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'll just take a nap," and I definitely wouldn't be here today. So it's interesting, right? How things happen, how they're supposed to happen, and so I was induced into a medical coma. The doctors told my mom, "Call your family. She has 24 hours to live."
Wow.
Because sepsis was taking over and killing all of my organs. I was in the ICU. I was in a coma for 6 days, in the ICU for 10. And it changed my entire life, because not only what I experienced in the coma, the trauma, and all of that, but 6 months after this experience, I was actually diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. And because of all the antibiotics that were pumping my body at such a long period of time, and that has been the hardest thing to possibly deal with, because it's chronic. It's not something I can ever overcome,
Yeah.
and it's debilitating. And I suffered for 6 7 years of it completely changing my entire life, my entire trajectory. And many people don't realize that I actually started wax while, like, from my bed, and not my bedroom, like laying in my bed, because I was too sick to get up. But every single day I use my dreams as like, and my community as motivation to keep going. But it's still obviously something I live with today. It's chronic and it's forever with me, but I choose to let it be part of me, but not define what I can or cannot do.
Wow, that's very, very inspirational. Because one of the things that I'm trying to see in you when you're sharing this story is like every one of us has a purpose. And you say something very key when you said, "Wow, how my mom was here." I mean, just right in the moment. Because I mean, I believe in that every one of us has a purpose in life. And sometimes when it's not your time, it's not your time. So even though you have a
Mhm.
situation like that, you're gonna overcome it. The situation is here how you receive that, how you gonna get up and gonna keep going and gonna you say, you know what? I haven't done yet. I have this purpose in life. I believe in myself. I believe that I'm here in this earth to impact people, to do something that different that everyone else. So
Mhm.
when you were in that bed that you say you actually start wax from your bed, what actually it makes you start doing that? Because wax wasn't before that happened to you, right? Or it was already in your mind?
No, it was very much after. So after my near death experience, I still moved to New York City, got my dream job working at InStyle while still running my blog on the side. But then I was getting sicker and sicker, not realizing I was having the onset of an autoimmune disease. So I basically lived in New York for a year alone until I was like, this is not a place of healing. And it was a very hard decision, because it was always my dream to live there. But I had to move back home to with my family to gain their support. And I spent years in and out of doctors, in and out of hospitals, asking, why did this have to happen to me? I was just in my early 20s. Um, but after 2 months goes by, 8 months goes by, a year goes by, you realize, like, I was waiting for my life to be back. I was waiting for the old Alexa to come back. And I realized, like, it's never going to be that way. And I stopped asking myself, why did this have to happen to me? And I began asking myself, why did this have to happen for me? And so I went on this journey of curiosity, as I like to call it, because so many times when I was trying to heal both my mind and my body through this experience, every time I would see a motivational speaker, an author talk, something online, while they were very motivating, all they spoke about was, here's what happened in my past, here's how I overcame it, and here's how you can do the same. And I couldn't relate to that, because yeah, my near death experience is in my past, but my autoimmune is with me forever. And here I am, super sick, listening to this and realizing, like, how can I take this advice when I can't possibly overcome this? And so, and I couldn't find the hope. And so I exchanged hope for curiosity, and I became curious to what may happen if I don't give up? What may happen if I take one more step, one more action step? And I went to kind of discover this purpose of sharing my story vulnerably and authentically with audiences all over the world. And so I became passionate about public speaking. And I started pitching myself as a speaker. I literally pitched maybe 60 organizations in my local community. And these were small events, like 10 to 15 women around for a luncheon. And like they'd bring in a speaker. I would speak for free. And nobody gave me an opportunity. Not one person. I received all no's or just no response. So I felt so discouraged. I was like, well, I guess I can't be a public speaker if no one's giving me the opportunity to publicly speak. But that fire and that passion was still inside of me. And I truly believe that if it's there for a reason. And I couldn't just ignore it. So then I was like, well, if you're not going to let me speak at your events, I'm just going to create my own event. So I started creating small events under my blog's name still at the time. And my first event had 5 people show up, and I was like super excited to inspire 5 people. Then the more I spoke, I started getting paid to speak a year later. That's when I was going to all these different events that were very specific to women. But every event I went to, it was very segmented off by either age, industry, or ethnicity. And I just thought, like, I would hear these women's stories after I'm done speaking. People come up to talk to me. And I'm like, you need to know this person. You need to know this person. And I wanted to connect all these people. And it was mind boggling that in just a local community, nobody was connecting. Nobody knew each other unless they were in their niche little group. And while those niche communities are very important, it is also important, in my opinion, to connect with diverse women, all different ages, all different backgrounds, all different industries. And so that's when the idea for WEX, the Women in Power X, was kind of brought about. And also my need for real, authentic connection. I couldn't handle the networking events where you just go and exchange business cards. And I knew that my community online really helped me get through some of my darkest days. And I wanted to connect with them in person. So it's kind of these two ideas that formed the idea for Woman in Power X.
That's amazing. So now basically what it helped you was the process, because that everything has a process of in life. And sometimes we don't like it because we struggle, and sometimes we don't like the process that we are taking to be in that position. But I love that you were seeing a need, and you were like, okay, no, I have something inside of me that it can help all these connections come together. And that fire that, like you said right now, is what it helped you to come and stand up from that bed and say, okay, I have this, so I have to deal what I have right now, but that's my process. Because imagine if you never had that situation in your life about the health situation, you never maybe have WEX at
Right.
that point.
Right.
So sometimes being in the process is not easy because you're struggling and it's pain, obviously. But out of the pain, you can get something that it was meant for you. And
Definitely.
I love that right now WEX, because I'm part of WEX, and I just loving the connections and all the people that is there, because there's not people just trying to pitch their business or trying to actually see what they can get, but actually to support each other. And that's, I think that's gold. As right now and how is the industry, that is gold, because there's a lot of people out there that just wanted to take advantage of you or trying to see what they can get from you. And having that space that you have created, and I just want to say that you are a really big inspiration for me, and for a lot of people that are going to be listening to your story. I mean, it's just amazing how you get up and come from the bed to what is now. So after that process, because I think it wasn't, I mean, much long ago, right? When Wex was born, what year?
2016.
2016. So we're talking about 5 years ago. So who is Alexa now? Because you were talking about the Alexa that was there when WEX started, but now who is Alexa at this point with all this history and all these experiences? I want to know who is the strong Alexa now.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question. And thank you so much. So the person I am today is someone that truly trusts the journey and surrenders to the flow. And yes, I'm still a type A, so I still try to control things that I probably don't have control over. But the person I am today is my struggles, my obstacles have made me a very empathetic person, and I think empathy is like a superpower in, especially in today's world. So I use my struggles in my past not as a hindrance or like, why did I have to lose all this time? Because I definitely have thought that. I lost, most of my 20s. Um, but today I see it as such a blessing, and realize that I had to go through that in order to become the person I am today and the person that I am meant to be in the future.
That's great. And there's a lot more to come. I mean, you're still young. You still a lot of things that I mean, I'm so empowered by hearing you that you start at very early age, and everything that you already, I mean, did in this life, and now what is coming now for you. So, what will be the best advice that you will give to the audience that is listening right now, that maybe they're struggling just to stand up, and that maybe they're in this situation that they feel that it's not end, and that they don't know how to start to building that dream or building that journey to take them where they want to be? What is the advice that we will give them?
My advice would be to really tune into your feelings and your excitement. Follow the joy. Follow what excites you, and really trust your inner instincts. And know that if you keep on going, whether it's on a path that you may have to pivot from, whether it looks a bit different than what you set out to, if you keep on going and chasing after that feeling of excitement, that feeling of passion, that feeling of empowerment, that you will get there. The path may look different, but the end destination, as long as you keep that in mind, I truly believe that you will get there. And when you are going through some of your challenging days, which I know we all have multiple times a month, probably, I'm a big believer that it is our darkest moments that bring the miracles in our future. And to when you're going through it's tough. It's hard to see the light. And I would say stop searching for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light has always been right within you.
Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. I love that. And that's so true. I mean, you guys, you have to take notes. This is, I mean, golden nuggets that Alexa is just bringing here, and I believe that there's a lot of people out there that need to listen to this, because there's a lot of people that just stay there, stuck in that situation and that struggle. And I remember even this past year, I mean, 2020, I think is gonna be very memorable for everyone. With all this situation, the pandemic, there was a lot of people that were without a job. I mean, their business just collapsed, and there's a lot of people waiting for that moment to just start all over again. I mean,
Mhm.
there are things that maybe they had built for until last year, maybe this just, I mean, ended up everything, and they were just waiting for that moment to say, okay, I'm gonna raise up again in confidence. I'm gonna raise up again and start working again, and what I'm meant to be. What is that is in my head? What how I can work what with what is in my hands to start all over the place. So I think that is very, very it's amazing. So I like ladies car care. I mean, for us, our business before was at the shop. I mean, we still have the repair shop. And I
Mhm.
remember we started gathering, because one of my passion is gathering women just to learn about cars. And I remember all this, it was amazing, just gathering, I mean, a lot of women learning about cars. And then the pandemic came. It was like, oh, we cannot gather
Yeah.
anymore. So we're like, oh no, now what? Now what we're going to do? And I mean, the shop is still there, but the part that was, I mean, that passion that was in me to helping women, it was like in pause. And I feel that struggle. And I was like, okay, I know there's something inside of me that want to help women. What can I do now? And that's when I decide to come in this online environment. I'm like, what if there's more women out there, and not just my local community, that really want to learn and want to gain confidence in this area? And basically, we grow in the pandemic. The
Mhm.
pandemic was the that path that said, okay, it's time to run. And I know there's a lot of people that is in that situation. So thank you so much for coming, sharing your story. I think it's really, really inspiring just to have you here as a guest. And I know there's a lot of people that they're gonna be taking advantage of that situation. But I cannot let you go until I ask you, have you ever had any experience with your car
Yeah, it's a
that
good
you want to
question.
share?
Um, yeah, I mean, I have never liked going to get my car fixed. Definitely growing up, my dad took care of my car. Uh, of- I mean, is there a specific experience? Um, I mean, yes. I have a perfect experience. Okay, because there's like, of course, a lot of different things in the car. Okay, so I was moving from Florida to Dallas in about 2 weeks. But in those 2 weeks, I was hosting one of our largest events, the Women in Power X in Fort Lauderdale, where we were expecting 2,500 plus people to be in attendance. And the week of the event, I need to do is like, I have to, there's just so much going on because it's an event. There's always last minute things. Plus, I'm the speaker, and there's just so much. And I was living alone in my apartment, and I needed my car to get to all like last minute press opportunities. And of course, like 2 days before Wex, my car just decided to not work anymore,
Oh no.
and it was so bad. I forgot how I got to the car dealership, but I had to take my car in, and then I had to wait there for like hours upon hours. I literally walked miles to a coffee shop because I didn't have family in town at the time to take me anywhere. And I was like sweating, and I had to go on all these like live stream press things. It was just so much. So that was definitely not the best experience.
Yeah, I know, I got you. I mean, that, and a lot of times that's when I really step in and said, hey, you can avoid this type of situations. How? If you take care of your car like
Oh
every
yeah.
month.
If I did, I totally would have avoided that 100%. They even told me that. And I was like, oh, well,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that you need is 5 minutes every 2 weeks, or even every month, just to open your car hood and check your fluids, check that everything is on place, check the pads that are good on the tires, and little things that actually can avoid, because you could avoid waste so much time, money, and the big thing is headaches. Because what a headache you just had there.
So much of a headache. Uh-huh. Definitely.
Yeah. And well, last question. What is your favorite car, Alexa?
Oh, I've that's a good question. So my favorite car that I've had was my great grandma when she no longer could drive anymore. We kind of bought her car off of her, and it was a Lexus, a car, and that was my favorite car I've ever had. But then I moved to New York, so I don't have it anymore, which I'm so sad about. But a favorite dream car would either be a Tesla. I would say a Tesla, probably.
Oh yeah, I think for
Yeah.
now, everyone, those cars are so pretty now with all the new technology that is coming.
Mhm. Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Okay, well, Alexa, before saying goodbye, can you tell our audience where they can find you? Where's that good place where they can connect with you?
Yeah, I'm all over social media at Alexa Rose Carlin, and you can learn more about Wex at womenempowerx.com.
Awesome. Well, there you have it. Please go follow her. I mean, I think she just shared a very small fraction of her story because of the time. But if you want to learn more about her, just go follow her on Instagram. All her social medias will be linked here on the side notes. So thank you for being here one more time. I hope that those dreams that are in your heart, they're gonna come and they're gonna be double what you already experienced.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So for our listeners, please wait for the next episode because this one was powerful, but the next one it will be have a lot of information as well. So have everyone has I hope everyone have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to the Ladies
Bye.
Car
Thank you
Care
so
Talk
much.
Show. For more resources from Cindy or to join the Ladies Car Care Facebook community, you can follow the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and share with your friends.